hopefully this is getting going here. Says it is. All right. So, for anyone, so I'm just gonna go into what this is, and then when people show up, I'll explain. I'll apologize for the weird time. Anyway, today we have a hopefully concise set of photos dating from 2004. There it is. I'm gonna move these around a bit. It's sort of a grab bag of stuff. Starting out with some photos from the 2004 West Jersey Chapter NRHS Chapter Picnic, and then mainly containing a bunch of, I think it's kind of, and then a bunch of photos taken in the Perryville area. Amtrak Perry Interlocking and the west end of the CSX Ankin siding. So it's going to be pretty short. I thought I had something else, but it turned out to be a 2-day affair. I'm only going to be around for today, for tonight, and then hopefully back in about another 2 weeks or so. Okay, looks like we got a bunch of people. So for anyone who remembered me saying that I would be streaming maybe Thursday or Friday, the Reading and Northern F Unit trip this weekend was canceled because of COVID concerns, even though they are running RDC trips. So I'm going to be doing this. I'm here today, and I'm going to be doing this, like I said, instead. And looks like we got a bunch of people leaving. Sorry about that. Sorry, Perryville isn't that interesting. But I do have a couple more. I do have a couple more things in the on deck circle for the future around Christmas and Thanksgiving. I'm gonna probably do that St. Louis trip. Anyway, I'm gonna get started. I do have another whole set of photos that I need to do about the West Jersey Chapter picnic. These are a few photos from 2004. I have a bunch more photos from 2005. This was the location for the annual West Jersey Chapter NRHS summer picnic. A member had basically salvaged a like a fairground narrow gauge railway from, I forget where it was, maybe it was a couple, laid it down the tracks on his farm, and then proceeded and acquired, he had a speeder and this Plymouth industrial locomotive, which was pretty neat. And he also had a steamer that wasn't operational, and he had electrified part of it and he built his own steeple cab unit out of dryer motors and just sheet metal. So I don't have a lot of photos of it, but they're mixed in here because this was taken in July of 2004. So that's one of the things I did. At some point, I will get on and do the entire picnic photos, the full set that I had from 2005. Anyway, the neat part is, so the Plymouth locomotives, I don't have a lot of pictures of it. I only have pictures of sort of the cab. You'll have to wait till next time. But the neat thing was it was a gasoline mechanical. I'm not sure anyone's ever seen these. You probably have seen them in pictures. It had a mechanical transmission that I'll get into with a friction drive. Really, really, really clever way of doing stuff. And it was mainly used for hauling light industrial stuff, mine locomotives, tips of rubbish and trash or whatever. Sorry. Sort of ran out there. I'll explain how this thing works in just a second. Let's see who's around real quick. Oh, someone is. Alright, so here's a little bit better view of the drive mechanism. There's an inline 4 gasoline engine powering it, and you can sort of see how this works. I have a flash version, so I'm going to switch to. I'll explain when I get to the flash. The flash, you can actually see it. So here we have the flash version, and the way it works is you have this friction drive wheel there, and it spins. It's directly connected to the engine, and then offset 90 degrees you have another friction wheel connected to a chain drive, and that wheel has a sort of Armstrong lever that will on us, and this wheel here slides back and forth horizontally. It's pressed in and out by this lever here, which is like an Armstrong lever. And what that does is there's a number of notch points. So at the innermost point, that's your lowest speed. As you move to the outside of the wheel turns fast. It's like a record. It turns faster on the outer circumference and slower on. Has less linear velocity. Angular velocity on the inside than it does on the outside. So when you move this wheel to an outer notch, the thing goes faster. It's just like a clutch. You press it in, and then it just slips a bit, then it catches and just starts going. So it's a very, very, very clever mechanism. And it's all eventually it turns a chain drive, which turns the wheels directly. Really fun thing. Although it goes pretty slow. Its speeds are kind of slow and slower. They had a gasoline speeder that was built there, and some other stuff. Here's a slightly better view with a better flash. I can zoom in too. I don't have to. Oops. See, there's your chain drive. There's your driving wheels down there. Some idler wheels to reverse the direction of the chain, and then there's the big friction wheel. I don't know what that's going to be, but you can see the little notches. So it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set speeds in both forward and reverse. Remember, when you swing this friction wheel all the way to the other side, the drive wheel is going in backwards to in its thing. So it handles both forward, reverse, and so it has 5 speeds in each of forward and reverse. Really, really clever. The farm was actively used for cattle grazing. Now I'll go into this more in the chapter picnic thing, but the next year was the last year they had it there. There was some drama. The person was getting older. His family wasn't so much interested in what he was up to. So after some drama, his family kind of found that as a way to kill the event. The stuff is still there. It's still visible on Google Maps. I mean, you can see it. I'll show it. I mean, you can just zoom in here on it's near Woodstown. It's on Wikimapia. It's pretty big. There's the whole thing of the farm. There's the shops. There's that loop track is what he electrified, and that was electrified all the way in there. And then you can see there's a big field, and the railroad just did the whole circumference of the property. Pretty neat. And for context, I'll go to a Google map. There's Woodstown, New Jersey right there. Farrell, Turnpike, Mullica Hill. Between Woodstown and Mullica Hill, pretty much. So, anyway, I will be talking about that more. But I just wanted to show you get there. Just taking some pictures. Hopefully it won't be one of those. There's too many things these days where second or third generations don't really give a shit and just throw stuff away. So this year I was just taking some pictures with the cows. This is only my first or second year in the NRHS chapter. I didn't know a lot of people. So, and surprisingly I was just having so much fun riding this stuff that I forgot to take a lot of pictures. All right, that's enough of the stuff. I will return to that at some point in the future. Anywho, as we can see here, we have a nice what they would call a Comet 1B or a Camaro. Well, this is a NJT. These are former Arrow 1 multiple units that were converted into cab cars by MK in the 1980s. I've never understood. So these were clones of the SEPTA Silverliner 3s made by St. Louis Car. And NJT had these depowered really quick. As soon as the Arrow 3s came along, these were pretty much put out to junk. And then they got rebuilt by MK. Ironically, despite their short service life as an MU, they are still in service these are still in service with Caltrans as single-level fleet expansion cars for Capital Corridor. Don't know if they're still being used today with COVID. They were used due to growing crowds, but that's not really a problem right now. Especially, but they bought about 12 of them, I think, at least for enough for one or two train sets with some spares. Now, for all the people who said the Silverliner 3s were taken out because of frame cracks or whatever, this is back in 2012. No, these were pretty solidly built. The Arrows, they're exactly the same exactly the same frame and body and everything, and these are still in service today. Whereas the Silverliner 3s have been pretty much they were removed in 2012. I mean, both got a full life of service though. This is shot at Hudson Yard. Right near Newark. This would be a train set laying, a Raritan Valley train set laying over. Before the dual purpose things, Raritan Valley line would end at Newark, head over past dock, lay over in the yard, and then come back out to track 5. And here we see the other end of that. Now this has got to be a dock still. This is probably the other end of the train. I'm not sure what that wooded stuff is, but the air. So I'm assuming this is a dock, but I'm not sure where that grassy stuff would be. So I'm not sure. There's an air switch there. Could be Trenton. But I'm not sure. I think it's dock, and maybe this is just looking toward the path track. I don't know. But like I said, this is sort of a miscellaneous bunch of stuff. The F40 PHs were sort of retired early from NJT. Although diesels, you can only really expect 20 years from a diesel. Unless it's rebuilt. All right, here we go. This is the, like I said, a lot of this is going to be stuff around Perryville. Specifically, I was getting pictures of the what do you call it? The Port Road section of Perryville Interlocking, or Perry Interlocking on Amtrak. Amtrak controls, of course, all the stuff on the main line. Perry is the junction. I'll pull this up. It's the junction of the Port Road. Let me find that let me get another map going here. Come on. Anyway, and that crashed it. Okay. It's the junction of the Port Road, which is Harrisburg to the NEC. via along the Susquehanna. There's your Perry interlocking right there. And you can see it's famous for its Y. And it's still the main access point today for the last big batch of freight operations on the NEC, which takes place between Baltimore and Wilmington. NS runs that they run trains from Harrisburg down to the port of Baltimore or up to Newark, Delaware, and then down the Delmarva Peninsula, serving the Valero refinery, various chicken concerns, anything else that needs to go down to the Delmarva Peninsula. So anyway, here we can see this Perry Tower is still there. There's the MARC station, terminus of the MARC Penn line. There's the substation for the power, but the part I was looking at is just Amtrak controls the other end of the Y right in here, which is a simple crossover, but it has some interesting things about it. Let me just see who's around, if anyone else has shown up. No, just me. Yeah, I know that last week I announced it was going to be on Friday, but unfortunately, come on, there it goes. So anyway, the neat part about this is that while the most of the NEC is still using the NEC portion is using the standard Amtrak numbering scheme, with track numbers for signals using the track numbers like 2S, 2 north, 2 south, 3 north, 3 south, and the switches again reflecting the track numbers that they connect, using tracks number 8 and 9 for the port road, single track, and controlled siding. The crossover on the north end of the Y, they actually have retained the original tower lever numbers. This would be 17 and 19 for the switches, and 18 R and L and 22 R and L for the signals. I have this picture of the original Perryville machine. Perryville was an electric interlocking, but it used a US&S lever machine. Model 14 is only the term applied to the electro-pneumatic. The other ones are just called electric machines or something. A lot of the technology goes into making sure that the switch does what it's supposed to. That it's in the correct position, and you do that differently with electric as you do with pneumatic. Anyway, we can see the Perryville CTC, but here's this Perryville, the local control union switch and signal lever machine for the local interlocking. And then this part, so this would be the 18R and 22R signals. With the port road having all the the 100 hertz line power cut down, these are the only two. This is the only bit of the port road where you still have the original PR signal power. I did pull up the original names and stuff for this. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of renaming. One of those days where you just don't have a lot of good light. Here we have the 22R mast with a greaser for the 15 mile an hour Y. This mast can display a slow approach, stop and proceed, or the best indication is a slow clear approach slow as trains are heading around the Y. Which is odd because the 8S can display a medium speed indication. So I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't do a. Maybe it just does straight approach and slow approach. Not sure. Probably a slow approach and approach slow. What are all the names for that? Where'd those all go? Oh, there it is. Yeah. Same things, just a little bit brighter. I've since been back here. I think I caught a very brand new 4000 series NSAC 40 whatever AC44 C6M there a number of years ago. All right, see, that's the end of the first batch. I only have 3 batches tonight, so like I said, this should be a pretty quick set. See if anyone has any questions. Oh, hey, Brian made it. Like I said, Brian, sorry for the change in plan. The Reading and Northern canceled its trip this Friday or Saturday, so I switched the date I was coming up. And here we see the, where is this? That would be the that's strange. This diagram seems to be wrong. The 19 switch seems to be pointed in the wrong direction. Oh well. The diagram's wrong. Those switches are in the reverse order. But anyway, this is the 19 switch reverse, and the 18 R dwarf signal. Probably this is likely going to, this might, with most of the towers now gone, this will be probably one of the few places where you'll see left, right, L and R signal indications on the Amtrak's NEC. In fact, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's got to be another one somewhere. But I wouldn't. Probably something at like Q Tower. Does this count as the NEC? Ooh. I don't know. There's a question for you. It reminds me of, there was a surprise question on a lot of the Amtrak territory qualification tests on the Harrisburg line, because at Royalton Interlocking there was a grade crossing that at the time was within interlocking limits, even though it was on the Royalton branch and only used by NS. It still was part of Amtrak, so they would often ask the crews about it on the test, and not a lot of people would get that one right. So you have the 19B switch, M3 plus the 17A switch over there. Despite being L and R configurations, they're using A and B for the switch machines. I'm not sure if that was that's nothing that's really, I'm not sure what that should be. The PR used to use E and W for the switches, but I guess it can't be perfect. So this is east west. Even another oddity is that the Port Road, which runs pretty much north south, is railroad east-west, and the NEC, which runs more east than west at this point, is railroad north-south. So one really interesting thing was this old school USNS M3. And then when I say old school, it is not an M2. That's a different thing. I'm pretty sure it's not an M2. Maybe it is. It has this sort of older cast motor box. So that's your point detection. That's your drive assembly. The middle in an M3, the metal, the big metal hinge part's the point detection controller. The middle part's the drive assembly, and then the little thing that's usually a sheet metal box is the motor. This one's got the older cast style. I saw one of these at CP Woodbury. I don't know what the deal is. I haven't seen a history of the USNS point machine like I've seen like some other stuff, like the GRS ones. But this is no longer there, but it was there this day, and I got some pictures of it. Not sure if this was an original or just what was, something they got from a parts bin. I don't know. And I even noticed that back in the day. This is not something that it took me a while to notice. I saw that little relay, that little whatever motor box was different even at the time I was there. We just have, we're looking at the 17 switch in the westbound direction. Here we have the rear of these are all still there today. These little stick dwarfs. Still a dwarf because of the shape, but it's on a stick. And this would be 18L. Unlike NS, Amtrak, at least in this area, unlike NS's current practice, I mean, this isn't NS, but Amtrak still uses, or the PRR and or Amtrak still would use signal speed to around permanent restrictions. So because of the Y, they're only going to put a slow clear there, even if for straight through moves. NS would put some sort of mast with a high clear, and let the engineer know, it's on their responsibility, and or the cab signal and or PTC system to say otherwise. Here we have the front of the stick dwarf. Probably leave that telephone pole out of it. There we go. These are not approach lit, so if you go there, they're lit all the time. But freight action is definitely governed by a lot of white periods. Most of the stuff is, as you would expect, in the night, around after 9 o'clock or before, I don't know, 6 a.m. But there's some stuff going on around here. You're going to see more of the stuff I forget when the morning trains. That stuff finishes up by around 5 or 6. But on weekends, you're going to see stuff going on, moving at Perryville, freight traffic at Perryville up to about 9 or 10 a.m. And you will see some midday ones, usually going north up towards the Delmarva Peninsula. The way Perryville is arranged, this isn't the best diagram of it. In fact, I should probably go to this one. The next freight train's coming off Perry here. You can get onto a siding and then wait for their chance to scoot about 10 miles from Prince to Bacon Interlocking. And once they're at Bacon, they have 3 tracks. So what is that? Bacon's at milepost 51 and 57. So it's only the 6 miles. They can get that 6 miles. They can get off into that number 1 track, and then they basically have that to themselves to the yard at Newark. Oh, keep losing this. Where is that? There it is. Fuck. Come on. There we go. I'll use a few historic names. And again, the side of this. If you go to this area, Perryville, I've never had any issues, but it is very close to the local the police department. So, just whereas some people call it a fuzz factory. So just be aware of that if you're there. But it's this is only a few minutes off I-95. If you're ever around the Susquehanna Bridge on I-95 sometime early on a weekend morning, it's definitely a good thing to it might be a fun thing to pull off. I'm always in a hurry, and you never really guarantee this stuff, and it's hot this time of year, but and here we have the 22L. See what I can do with this. Go with a square aspect ratio. I did go back here. As I said, I do have other sets of photos of this location, so I don't want to be too creative with my my file renaming, because it'll then collide with the other photos I took later. I took a pretty extensive set of photos. This was back when they were re-signaling the end of the port road, about 2014 to 16. So I'm pretty sure here the Amtrak ownership starts at the signal at the interlocking limit, not so Amtrak doesn't have to deal with that grade crossing. Okey-doke. Wasn't being as thorough as I would be in later years, but again, I'll make the excuse that you've heard the excuse before. My camera only held the 90-something photos per card at the time. Nice close view of the 18R, or yeah, 18R. Keep the original name. Oh, and here we are on CSX at West Ankin interlocking. Let me see how I did this with naming. I think that I was getting better with my naming. No, I'm not. So this would be CSX Philly sub West Ankin. Now I did go back there, so I need to again be wary of the naming collisions. So let me show you where this is. So there's the Perryville interlocking. If you head north out of town along the river, crossing under the Route 40 bridge, there's the CS. Oh, sorry, don't go that way. But anyway, if you head back on the road out of town, Maryland, whatever it is, Maryland 222. If you get off before it crosses the CSX Philly sub, you can sort of drive right down there, park, and the interlocking is right next to the road. It's not only the end of a siding, but there's also a weird, seldom used interchange track that will run down and hook into the Port Road. It's almost like this emergency connection track. You can see it from the where I was taking photos at Amtrak. So anyway, there's West Ankin. You can see the emergency track, some sort of the interchange track there. I don't know how often. It's like that track between Norfolk Southern and CSX at Shenandoah Junction. It's there, but rarely used. But if there's like a derailment, then it gets used. That's what that is. So this is the eastbound signal. These would be removed sometime around 2012 with the Philly sub resignaling project. And I did come back and get a full set of everything that was here at the time. I think including a signal displayed here for a train that might not have shown up. All right. Coming up on the last set. Didn't take a lot. Let's see who's around. Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, the Reading and Northern's not going anywhere. I'll be able to chance to take the trip in a week or two. Not in a week or two. Sorry, in a year or two. They'll do something again. I didn't lose my money. I just have like a lifetime voucher. I mean, it's funny. Yeah, Andy Mueller's not giving your money back, but you just get a voucher to use it some other time. So let's here you'll get a preview of the sort of monotonous photo interlocking photo stuff I tend to do. So this unfortunately dark photo is the same one, just the upper stage of it. I'm going to see if I can brighten up that signal a bit by doing shadow highlights. Then I'll do see if I can fix it with a all right, not great, but I'll take it. I think I deleted this one. So that's the one. I originally deleted this photo because it was too dark, but now I realize the value. Was really having trouble with the lighting this day. Here we have the rear of it. As I would go on to do these, if you've ever seen my photos, I would take full 360s as best I could, full 360s of the full thing, the upper part, the lower part, which would be the basket, the target and the lower orbitals, the top, which would be the basket and the upper orbital, and then an angle on each orbital and the target. And I'll do that from the front, the back, each side, and each of the angles. So take all those categories that I gave you and multiply that by 8. Sometimes I couldn't get a full 360 on these, but my goal was to get a full 360 of every important part of one of these back in 2012 when I was really doing my, going hard on this. So this would be a rear, upper, slight angle. The slights were just usually where I screw it up and don't get the full. I wasn't paying attention at the time. But instead of taking 60 photos of that one mast back in 2003, I would just go on to the next thing. Here we have a GRS 5H switch machine, which you know because of the extra little extension in the middle there. Of the only switch. In unrelated news, I just got back from a trip to Colorado, where I head up to the. I checked out the Moffat Tunnel, eastern portal, and then went up to the Tennessee Pass, where the old GRDW or the Tennessee Pass line is still abandoned, and checked out the interlocking there. Pretty neat. Now, what did I call this one? Ugh. That's just... CPL rear plus 5H plus points. Ugh, it's green. What was I doing this? I color adjusted this too much. I got it. So while a number of the Philly sub interlockings were actually resignaled fairly recently, like in the 2000s, most of the signaling dated probably from the 70s or 80s. And when I say signaling, I mean like not the signals themselves are ancient, but the actual logic and stuff had last been was probably when they did a CTC project. It wasn't the earliest. It's a pretty you can usually tell by the relay huts. was a pretty standard CSX model. I can't exactly date it, but I think it's a little earlier than like what you would see at like a Greenbelt, which was like early 1990s. So I think this would have been from the 80s or the 70s. There's the Maryland 222 bridge in the background. Close-up view of the West Ankin relay hut there. CSX generally has some of the worst interlocking station signage. Usually, just I said, those numbers painted on the relay hut. Here are the westbound mast. Let's see what else. What else calling this? Oh. So again, this this doesn't have the 6 o'clock orbital because again it's the main to main. It would so stop and proceed using the 12 o'clock orbital in place of a restricting. A lot of these photos are coming in under their size budget, so I got to resave them at a higher JPEG quality. Of course, everybody loves CPL dwarfs. This one coming off the siding is a good example. If I had a good picture of it, this would be. I'm not sure how much the siding bumps out. I think I mentioned it before that siding bump outs are one of those things that but when you had to have right-hand placed signals, which I think sometime around 1985 or 4 or 6, in that 3-year time horizon. I can look it up, but that's when the FRA released the regulation to require that, and that more than anything else has ruined signaling. The whole thing of right-hand placement required signal bridges and cantilevers and these little bump outs at the end of sidings and more dwarfs and bracket masts, and now you just put a mast on either side and it doesn't matter. As you can see, this is why I do not narrate my modern stuff, because it would be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of signals at slightly different angles, and that's just dull. With dwarfs, usually either position or searchlight or whatever dwarf, usually searchlight or position. Make sure I get that. I always get a combination of behind rear photos, but also above. So this one happens to be an above angle, and I'll even do straight top-down photos now. Might not have mentioned it, but one of my goals is to at some point be able to use some sort of who knows how many decades in the future, but dump all this stuff into a VR program. And have not me have something automatically recreate these scenes in like a VR chat kind of thing. but only at the point in time where it can be, you can do it from photos and not have to go and model it. Because that's modeling these stuff one at a time is sort of pointless. There's still enough out there you can go visit it yourself. Let's see what I called this one. Almost finished. This might be another one that I deleted for unknown reasons. Huh. Looks like I didn't use this photo the first time. I wonder why. And I see that's another good reason that I'm doing this. Not only as you've seen that set of photos to Montpelier got found and got posted, but there's a lot of times photos that I probably threw in the dumper are making it out there for the first time. And our last photo of the day. These guys didn't quite frame this well, but whatever. Huh? There it goes. All right. Well, that's it for now. I'm going to see if there's any questions or anything. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Sorry this one was a little bit boring, and again, sorry for the bad scheduling. I'm probably going to be returning in 2 weeks. I'm not sure when it would be. It's either going to be the Sunday to Monday, Monday to Tuesday, maybe Thursday to the 14th to the 15th. I don't really know yet. There's a lot of uncertainty, but I'll sort of see. I'll let you guys know what's going on, or try to. I don't know. Just be aware. Be around at 10 p.m. those days. Thank you so much. Wow, got this done in under an hour. Check out for some new videos getting dropped soon. A whole bunch of stuff from my trip to Colorado. Not a ton, but I got Moffat Tunnel audio of the vent plant, Amtrak's California Zephyr, and a bunch of animal stuff that I might not put up on the channel. I might put somewhere else. We'll see. Okay? Everybody have a great time and stay safe out there. Any other questions? All right, I'll see you. Thank you so much. And like I said, yeah, sometime in 2 weeks, sometime during that week, either Sunday to Monday, Monday to Tuesday, or Thursday to Friday, or Friday to Saturday, one of those 4 days, or 2 of those 4 days. I don't know. I could take 2 days. Who knows? All right, I will see you.